So she came to the meeting.
Okay, let's go ahead with the Burnhamia presentation. It's very short. We are working on preparing a paper for the Journal of the Double Star Observers. But recently, just very recently, 834 Burnhamia occulted Tycho star, a nice bright star, 5780-308-1. And I'll share the results. There were 4 observers that got all positives and all with double steps. Ted Blank, Paul Maley, Steve Messner, and John Moore. And Brad and I have been doing the analysis. So next slide.
And that's what he did. And even Montgomery discussed it with himself. He turned his back.
Okay, so this is a table showing, going to show the equipment that was used. This came from my paper that's still in process. But all of the sites were located by people after the eclipse. So they were all traveling in the Midwest. And you see there was a site in Missouri, one in Kansas, one in Oklahoma, and one in Iowa. So the folks were able to disperse and cover the entire path, which was good. They had video and GPS timing on all of the recordings, and everybody had 2 events, which is a little unusual. Usually we'll have some misses and sometimes only single events. Next slide.
Here they are. He travels with the crowd.
This shows the general path map, and we expected a full mag drop of about 4.0, and you'll see that we had a variation of that when we look at the light curves.
Looks like they're having a good time.
Next slide.
That's a little early to be drunk. Count 2-0.
Okay, here are 2 of the light curves. The top one is by Steve Messner, and the bottom one is by Paul Maley. And Steve has what I can characterize as a classic saturated light curve. And that is that the target star was overexposed, the pixels saturated, and some of the brightness drop was actually clipped by the oversaturated pixels. Now you can see that there are 2 distinct steps, but you can also see that the baseline was breaking up and varying quite a bit, and that's, especially for such a high brightness baseline, that's another classic characteristic of a saturated star, and that the brightness fluctuations are actually from the size of the star changing, since all the pixels at the top are saturated anyway. So even though this is a very good light curve for timing the event, it can't be used for the photometry for characterizing the magnitude of the stars. Paul's, on the other hand, was taken with a PC-164 CEX2, and even though the light curve is faint and has a lot of noise in it, you can see 2 distinct steps, and the left wing here of the first step is a little bit brighter than the right wing, and that's a real photometry effect, and we can use that to characterize the 2 stars. Next slide.
And I know that Joe game plans these things, probably game planned it on Thursday, that I'm going to relieve Montgomery with green. But
okay, so here's the other 2 light curves. John Moore's light curve. Gee, it looks a little bit like Steve's. And sure enough, he had some saturation as well. Not quite as bad, but still it was he had saturated light or stars. So when you try to compare the photometry of the left side to the right side, it becomes quite difficult because this drop is not photometrically correct. So we didn't use that one for the photometry either. And then the final one was taken by Ted Blank, and this one was with the RunCam Night Eagle Astro Edition, which I'll talk about in my next presentation. And nice enough here is that the RunCam Night Eagle has a very good, reliable 0.45 gamma response curve. And if you put in the reverse gamma correction in iMovie, you can get a nice 1.0 gamma corrected light curve out, and that's what this one shows. It's actually, it looks worse than it is because the bright areas have been compressed a little bit, and the faint areas are a little magnified, and everything is more linear. And with this light curve, you can distinctly see that the left side wing is clearly above the right side wing. And this is the light curve that I intend to use to characterize the magnitude of the stars. Okay, next slide. And this is the result. This is the finished plot. Both stars are plotted here, so each observer has 2 chords, and you can see that we have a very nice fit to an elliptical shape, which is not always the normal case, and we have a very nice, distinct double star signature. So I think I have one more slide. Maybe that's the last one. Yeah, there we go. And so using Ted's light curve, we're able to put in the brightness levels into Occult 4. And I'd like to thank Dave Harold. He just recently revised Occult 4 so that we could capture these output, the results, and just simply cut and paste them into a presentation like this. And he also, I guess, found a little computational error when he tried to run the ABAB sequence, and so we fixed that. So with all of that, the left side light levels at D start out at 175, they drop to 114, and they go down to 5. And then they return, they start at 5, they go up to 87, and then up to 190. So with the right side being ending at 190 and still being lower than the front side step, you can see that there is a clear difference between the two. I didn't normalize this out other than what RWrote did for me, so I'm just using the numbers straight from RWrote on this one. And then the resulting magnitudes, it's what we call a BA event, where the dimmer star is first, then the brighter star, then the dimmer star, then the brighter star. So the B magnitude is 10.08, and the A magnitude is 9.66. And I can get these numbers to jump around by almost 1/10 of a magnitude, depending on the input numbers that I put in. So they're pretty stable. I'll put some plus and minus values on these in the final report. So that's, I think, the last slide. There may be one more I might have. Yeah, okay, so this is a preliminary report subject to change in the final paper submitted to the Journal of Double Star Observers, because I haven't run this by any of the authors yet either. And I think that's the last slide. Maybe I've got acknowledgments, I don't know.
We told you at the start, the starter for the Yankees today is Montgomery Green. So the Montgomery portion.
Okay, so if there's any questions.
If the Subway Club were a club, it'd be called the Subway Club Club, and everyone would want to get in. Turkey, black forest ham, and roast beef.
All right, well, you're welcome, Steve. Thanks for getting the observations. It's really great that you guys are getting good data out there in the field for us analysts to pore over. Okay, so I'm not seeing any questions, so let's